Hello everyone and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video, and today we are taking a look at the Transformers R.E.D. Walmart exclusive Soundwave. Here we have Soundwave displayed in the front window. About halfway down we get some artwork there, and then just below that we do get his name. We also have the notice there telling us that this is a non-converting figure. On the side you're going to have an open panel where we can see all of Soundwave's accessories on display. On the back, we get some product shots there, nothing too crazy, but we do get some cool poses out of it. At the very bottom, we have the UPC code, so you can check with your local Walmart to see if they have this in stock. But enough about that, let's get this open and take a look at Soundwave. And here is Soundwave outside of the packaging, and unfortunately I'm going to have to say that we are 3 for 3 here in the sense that these figures are not great. They're not bad figures. If I had to guess, just the budget didn't really call for them to put too much effort into it, just in terms of some of the minor things. You know, the fact that they still have mismatched colored pegs. So we get, a gray peg in the blue part of his arm. We get a blue peg in the gray part of his leg. The mold that they use, or the injection molding that they use, we have flashing just all over on these guys. You can see all the spots where the injection mold went in. We have some pretty bad marbling still. I mean, it's not horrible, but I mean, it's very present. And some QC issues. This particular Soundwave, his left knee, there's a significant gap where it looks to me like the plastic was stretched, like the pin looks like it's being pulled down or something like that. So I have a wonky knee on this particular figure, which I've already emailed Hasbro about. I'll let you know how that goes. But overall, there's just, some QC issues and just minor things that are holding this back from being a better figure. We do get some accessories with Soundwave, though. Starting first with a pair of fisted hands that will come already ported in out of the box. And for his right arm, we are going to get a gripping hand, and that's going to be used, of course, to hold his blaster. And then speaking of the blaster, we can see another good representation of how it appeared in the G1 animation. Very minimal paint and not super intricate detail, but again, matching what we saw from the cartoon. So it looks actually pretty good, and it does fit the character. And then for his left hand, we are going to get this not quite a gripping hand. It has the trigger finger-like pose, but we can see otherwise his fingers are making a fist, and that is going to be his eject button pushing hand. So you can basically position it, thankfully, in the right position to make the eject button pop out. So that is cool, and again, staying true to the G1 animation. But while we're at it, when you push that eject button, the tray is going to come down, and then for his final accessory here, we do have Laserbeak. At least that's who I think it looks like. And that is going to be just a non-transforming and not super detailed cassette tape that, unfortunately, my biggest gripe with it is that it can fall out. Well, okay, maybe if I... Never mind. I did say it can fall out pretty easily, but maybe I was putting it in wrong or something, because now it's not falling out. So that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, that can store right in there, which I think is probably where I'll keep it. It would have been cool, though, to have a transformed version of Laserbeak that, you could set on his arm or something like that. Now, in standing straight up, Soundwave is coming in at 6 inches tall, which makes him about 15.2 centimeters. So he's going to be in scale with the rest of the figures of this wave, but we'll still see how that scaling works out when figures like Bumblebee are released. But anyway, since we looked at all of his accessories, let's go ahead and just get up close here and take a look at the sculpt, paint, and otherwise on Soundwave. And getting up close, starting first here with the head sculpt, we can see something once again that is very true to the G1 animation style. So it came out looking really good. It is a little bit fuzzy around the edges, but not terrible. But when you do look at some of the paint, so for example, this gray paint here, it is kind of rough looking. Just the way it's applied, you can see it's not really the smoothest thing. And then again, looking at the plastic, there's a lot of, texture to the plastic. And again, I'm sure that just has to do with the type of material used. I feel like, kind of like I mentioned with Megatron, that this type of plastic is just, I don't know if it's a cheaper grade or what. One of my first complaints I have with the figure, though, is going to be the shoulder-mounted piece, which, the sculpt on it and everything is okay, but you can see it is just meant to plug in, and you're only going to get side-to-side motion out of it. and it's not real firm. I mean, every time I try to adjust it, it pretty much comes out, so you almost have to push it down if you're trying to move it side to side. Would have been really nice to have just a simple ball joint in there so that you could at least do some more movement with it. As it sits, this thing falls almost every time I accidentally touch it. Going down to the rest of the sculpt, so it's very boxy figure and not a whole lot of detail in the chest. We do see the Decepticon logo there, which actually came out pretty good. The paint on there is well aligned, and we do have the clear color so that you can see, of course, the accessory on the inside there. And the eject button does actually work, so just so you know, you don't have to sit there and like pick at it. Looking at the back piece, this is actually the first one to have the back piece be removable. Not sure if they're planning on like using this for a different sculpt, but it doesn't really seem like it's necessary to have that back piece removable, given that Megatron and Optimus both had kind of the backpack thing going on, but whatever. The arm sculpt, not bad. Again, you can see around the edges in some spots where it's a lighter blue. And then right here, you can see the elbow, what I was talking about earlier. So we get the gray peg on the blue upper part. I mean, it is hidden there, so that's at least a plus. But if you have him, on the side, it's going to be exposed. So, I mean, that is at least something, though. The paint, not bad. Not too many complaints there. This spot here, where you can see where it's pretty rough, I was rotating his leg and it hit right there on the center, and yeah, that's it. That's how easily this plastic mars, when touching other areas, and that's kind of, I don't know, that's just rough. You get pretty much the same thing up there, and then on the back side, I mean, all the marbling and the injection port sites that you can see on every single piece, it seems like. It's probably hidden on the upper thighs there, but like every single piece, it seems like, has just a really ugly injection molding port spot there, and that's just, I mean, I'm glad it's at least on the back side that they had the forethought to do that. And then looking at the legs too, that's what I was talking about earlier with the gap in the knee. That is a bit frustrating, and when you look at the peg, you can kind of see it looks warped. Like that circle looks elongated, like it's pulling or stretching on something. I did heat it up, and I was at least able to get it to where I could bend the knee, because originally I couldn't even get this to move at all. It was actually like it would go about that far, so that's at least a plus. Simple paint on the legs, simple design on the feet, and then you do get the volume and the power switch on the back. And then, I mean, how's the marbling here? I mean, you can see, again, just more spots that reflect in the light a little bit differently. It doesn't seem like it's as bad as Optimus, though, so that's at least a plus. But, yeah. Now, looking at the articulation, so you got a head that can move around pretty much like the rest of them. So you get some decent actual movement out of them, some side-to-side, rotation, and all that. It does move forward again, so it is on a dumbbell, so if you move it forward, you can actually kind of look down a little bit. The arms, you're going to be able to go up at a full 90, rotate, and there is, I'm not going to call it a full butterfly joint, but we get at least a little movement in there, which is helpful. So, I mean, at least they're thinking about that sort of stuff. I just don't know how you make it deeper than that, but it's at least something. You have an upper bicep swivel. He actually does have double jointed elbows, so you can get a pretty good, I mean, all the way. So that's nice. You get full rotation, and actually this hand, too, very loose when I had it in there. That's just another QC issue of mine. You do have, of course, the hinges. He does not have any kind of ab crunch, which is not surprising given the situation going on here. Much like Optimus, with the opening chest piece, you don't get that. But you do have a swivel at the waist. You have legs that can come apart. Boy, I feel like I was really flexing it. Legs can come apart about that far. Kick forward. Ooh, boy. Not very far at all, actually. Yeah, it's either hitting or it's just really stiff. Move back a little bit, not much though. Upper thigh cut, but again, be careful. You do have those double jointed knees for about that much, not too bad. And then like Optimus and Megatron, you can pull the feet down. So if I push this back in. There we go. You can see the difference between having it pulled down, and when you do that, you get a much deeper hinge there, and you actually get some decent ankle pivot on them as well. And that is going to do it for this review, everyone. And to kind of wrap up the entire Wave 1 here, so we have both Optimus and Megatron here as well. And I think there's a couple things that Hasbro did very well. Number one, I think they have a very strong lineup here for the first wave. You get 3 of some of the most iconic figures within G1. So I think that was done really well. I have no problem with the non-transforming figure concept. I think that is perfectly acceptable when executed correctly. And I think that's really my biggest problem is I'm not fully convinced that it's been executed correctly. The scaling, as I've mentioned a few times through these reviews, is one of my bigger problems. They're just very small compared to other 6-inch figures, and I've used this Hydra Trooper before, but just seeing them side by side, I mean, this Hydra Trooper shouldn't be that much bigger than a robot that is supposed to be giant. And obviously I'm not going for total scale accuracy, but just thinking about the future of what this line could have with the different size characters, the scaling is, I think, one of the more important things about Transformers, personally. The plastic used across all 3 of these does feel cheap, and the manufacturing method where you have all these injection molding sites on individual pieces where you can see the flashing and the leftovers and stuff like that. I mean, thankfully it is on the back of the figure for the most part, but yeah, it's still, I don't know, just a lot of it. And then having some of, when you move pieces like I did with Soundwave's leg, and you get, a mark left in the leg on Optimus's shoulder when I positioned that at one point, and it was rubbing plastic on plastic. There's a lot of that going on, or at least there's too much of it going on. So my final thoughts on these are that I'm not ruling them out entirely yet because they do have some potential. I just hope that we see some more of the QC issues being addressed as time goes on. But anyway, as I said, that is it for the review, and it does wrap up Wave 1 of Transformers Red. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this series in terms of the figures themselves. I am still curious to hear back from you guys. Always love reading your comments. But if you like this review, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content just like this. And as always, thanks for watching my videos, and have a great day.